Good evening, everyone. I hope we are okay. We have waited long enough. I think we can now start. Are we all able to see the screen? If you're able to see the screen, kindly respond with a thumbs up. Are we able to see the screen? Okay. Thank you for that response, Maya. Are we all able to see the screen? Mr. Emano, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, I'm able to see it.
All right, great. Okay, so in this evening session, we're going to look at the last lesson on linear programming, paper 2. This is actually going to be our final lesson on mathematics paper 2. Then on Sunday, we'll start revising. We'll start with paper 1, and then on Tuesday, we're going to look at mathematics paper 2, section A, and then on Thursday, we're going to revise mathematics paper 2, section B. Okay, so you notice that there are those other questions that I gave you. Of course, I also gave you some tips on the questions I gave you as an assignment, where you had inequalities that sounded something like maybe, for example, he intends to order the number of, let's say, for example, you are dealing with sausages. The number of beef sausages he orders must be at least twice the number of beef sausages, thrice the number of, I'm sure you figured it out. Okay, so I'm going to make a solutions video on the assignment for that one as well, so that you can see how I'm supposed to answer those types of questions, because we didn't cover those ones in the previous session. Okay, so in this session, we're going to look at these other questions where you have some monies involved. Okay, so you need to form some inequalities, but then there's going to be some amounts attached to the inequality, so you need to know how to come up with those inequalities, and usually you need to simplify those inequalities. So as always, we use exam papers as our examples, and this one is coming from 2024 paper 2 GCE, and the question says Maplanga's carpentry shop makes two types of chairs, type A and type B, for sale. The cost of making one chair of each type is 2,000. The shop has 140,000 available for making chairs. The number of chairs of type A must be at least 20, while that of type B must be at least 10. If X is the number of chairs of type A and Y the number of chairs of type B, write three inequalities which represent these conditions. So the first thing, we're going to determine what does X represent and what does Y represent. So I've been told to say X represents the number of type A chairs, so meaning X is equal to type A, and then Y automatically will be type B. We now go back to the question to come up with the inequalities. So we'll first start with the simple ones. Okay, so according to the information we have, the inequalities, we're going to start seeing them starting from somewhere here, okay, up to somewhere there. So we're saying the number of chairs of type A must be at least 20. So type A is what? Type A is X. So meaning we're going to say Roman numeral 1, X. What is the symbol? The symbol says at least. So meaning that's greater than or equal to, the value there is what? 20. That's your first inequality. Go to the second inequality. While type B is what? Y must be at least, you plug in your symbol, at least means greater than or equal to, the value there is 10. Okay, so according to the information we have so far on linear programming, you notice to say we are only able to see two inequalities, but the question says write how many? 3 inequalities. So there's a third inequality in this question, and it is starting from somewhere here and ending right something like here. Okay, so this is how we're going to write this other inequality. Okay, so the cost of making one chair of each type is 2,000. 2,000. Okay, What that simply means is that you're going to say, whenever you see this type of an inequality that involves money, okay, it's x plus y, except you're going to attach the amounts. Sometimes they will state the amount for each type. Okay, for example, they might say type A is 2000, type B is 3000. So meaning you're going to attach those amounts to each variable, whether x or y, representing that type of chair. So in this case, they are saying both chairs, the cost is the same. Huh? Okay, so meaning you're just going to say, so inequality number 3, you're going to say type A. Okay, so we're going to say x, we said it's x plus y, right? But we're going to attach the amounts. So we're going to say 2000 x plus 2000 y, since it's the same amount for both chairs. Okay, then here it says the money available is what? The shop has 140,000 available for making the chair. So here you just need to use logic based on how they've described this scenario. The money they have is 140,000. They cannot spend more than this. So meaning the symbol you're going to use is less than or equal to. Okay, so that becomes less than or equal to the amount, which is 140,000. This is how much is available to be spent by the shop. So now you now notice to say we can simplify by dividing throughout by what? By this amount. Okay, so we're going to say divided by 2000 here. We also divide by 2000 here, and we divide on the other side with 2000 as well, so that 2000 and that 2000 cancel, that 2000 and that 2000 cancel. Oh, I forgot to put a y here. Okay, let me just quickly put a y. So 2000 y as well here, then less than or equal to 140,000. So even here we're going to divide by 2000, so that here you're going to cancel the 3 zeros. That one and that one goes, that one and that one goes, that one and that one goes. Then 2 into 140 will give us 70. So meaning our inequality is finally going to be x, because the 2000 got cancelled there, plus y, the 2000 also got cancelled there, is less than or equal to 70. That is going to be your final answer for your inequality. So the key is attach the amounts to whatever option is given. In this case, we're dealing with chairs type A and type B. Okay, so since the chairs were being bought at the same price, now we did 2000x plus 2000y. If, for example, chair Y was being bought at a different price, let's say type A was being bought at let's say 1.5, and then this is type A. Okay, type A, and then type B was being bought at, let's say, 2000, and then the amount available to be spent was maybe 20,000. Then what you would have said is type A is what? Represented by x. So you are going to attach this amount to type A. So you are going to say 1500x plus. Okay, type B is represented by what? Y. So the amount for type B, you attach it to y, 2000 y, and then this is how much is available to be spent, not more than that. Okay, so that's going to be less than or equal to 20,000, and then you start simplifying. So here you notice to say 15,000, we can simplify with 5,000. Okay, or to simplify, so we're going to say 5,000 into that, we're going to get a 300, right? So 300x. Is it? Let me try to do it the right way. Oh, I can just punch on my calculator. What is 15,000 divided by 5,000? That's 3. Okay, that's 3. 15,000 divided by that's 1.5, not 15,000. 1.5. 1.5 divided by 500. We can reduce with 500. Even here by 500, and there by 500. So meaning the zeros cancel. 5 into 15, that is 3x, plus the zeros cancel. 5 into 20, that is 4y, less than or equal to, the zeros cancel, 5 into 20, that is 4, so it will be 40. So this will be your inequality. So this is how you deal with these types of inequalities. Okay, I hope that is clear. So simply attach the amounts to the respective options you've been given. You know, we deal with only 2 options in linear programming paper 2. So that is that. So having come up with the inequalities, we can now go ahead and draw our graph. So we need to scroll down to the question that gives us the scale for the graph, which is this one here, which is saying using 2 centimeters to represent, so 2 centimeters to represent 10 chairs on each axis. Okay, draw x and y axis. So x is 0 to 70, y is also 0 to 70. So since both of them are starting at 0, just like always, we're going to put our 0 right there, like in the previous session. So 2 centimeters represent 10 chairs, so meaning from here to there it's 2 centimeters. So meaning 0, we have a 10 there, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and finally 70. Okay, on the y-axis as well, we're going to have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70 there. Okay, that is that. We can now draw. So we're going to get our ruler and draw. So I'll put my ruler right there, and then I'll draw the y-axis like that. And then up here, let me put it at 0 in preparation for the x-axis. So up here I'm going to put y-axis, scroll down to the x-axis, and also draw the x-axis right there. So that's our x-axis. Okay, then we said x represents what? What does x represent? Let us check. X represents type A chairs. So we go down to the x-axis, and then we also write to say the x-axis represents number of type A chairs. So down here we're going to say number of type A chairs, and then on the y-axis also going to write number of type B chairs. So we're going to say I always have problems writing this side, number of type B chairs. Okay, after we do that, we can now start plotting those inequalities. So the first one is x is greater than or equal to 20. So we go to our x-axis, x is greater than or equal to 20. That's the inequality we're trying to draw. Okay, x is greater than or equal to 20. Try to do this. Okay, so the inequality is x is greater than or equal to 20. So you go where x is equal to 20, right here, and then we're going to draw a line like that. Let's take it up a little. We scroll up, extend the line upwards. Okay, somewhere up to there. So this one says x is greater than or equal to 20. So what they want is the greater part, which is heading this side. So we need to stay away from this side. So we are shading the other side. So you shade this side like that. Remember to be neat about it. Of course, much better than what I'm doing right here. Then you're going to name your inequality to say this is x is greater than or equal to 20. We now proceed to the other inequality, which is y is greater than 10. Just turn this ruler, okay, somewhere there. Need to put it at 0 for now. Okay, so what we have here is y is greater than or equal to 10. Okay, this one right here, y is greater than or equal to 10. So we go to where y is equal to 10. So the one we're trying to draw is y greater than or equal to 10. So where is y is equal to 10? Right over here. So we go there and draw a line. So what is the symbol saying? Greater than. Okay, so meaning, what does that mean? Which part are you shading? What you need to stay away from is a greater part, since the sign says greater than or equal to. So meaning we stay away from this part, because going upwards we are going towards the positives, so that is a greater part. So meaning we shade down here. That is y is equal to 10, like that. Then you can even name it to say this is y is greater than or equal to 10, and you are done. We now go to the next one, which is this one here. Oops. X plus y less than or equal to 70. I said for these types of inequalities you need to come up with coordinates. So I'm just going to say 0, 70 and 70, 0. You remember I labored much to explain why we do this. So we've already done a proper introduction. So meaning on 70 we are going to put a dot there, okay, and the y-axis and on the x-axis as well. So don't make a mistake of putting the dot here. That would be wrong. That is not the x-axis. Okay, then we connect those 2 points. So let me just zoom out so that I can be able to see both points. Okay, yeah, I think there I can be able to see them. Then I'll align my ruler accordingly so that I can be able to hit those points. Turn it a little again. I think that should be about right. Okay, that's somewhat close. No, it's not entirely right. Yeah, it's missing a little bit down here. Let's try to put it at 40. Yeah, put it there. It's missing. Okay, we'll round it off to the nearest point. Okay, you should be able to do this just fine on your graph papers. So then I draw my line like that. Okay, what is the inequality saying? It says less than or equal to 70. X plus y, just get this guy out of the way. X plus y, this one here, x plus y less than or equal to 70. So if we go down to our line, which part is less than? Okay, this is heading towards the positives, this one towards the negatives, so this is the lesser part. So we need to stay away from this side, and you can clearly see that the error region will be here. Okay, so since it says x plus y less than or equal to 70, it simply means we are shading the greater part, which is this side on top. Okay, like that. And we also shade this side. Then somewhere on the line you can name it x plus y less than or equal to 70. Then you plug in your origin. So your origin will be right there. Okay. And then we know to say we're going to go to a part where we're supposed to calculate maximum profit, so we need to get the coordinates from those four corners. So what are the coordinates on that part here? Oops. So here we know the y coordinate is 50. Okay, how about the x coordinate? It's passing at 20, so it's 20 comma 50. So I'm going to put that coordinate there, 20 comma 50. Go down here. How about this corner here? What are the coordinates there? So that's 20 comma 10. So I'll just put them, I try to stay away from the origin. 20 comma 10. And then this corner here, what do you get? Okay, the x is passing at 60, the y is passing at 10 as well, so that's going to be 60 comma 10. And then we can proceed to the next question, which is saying, given that the profit on type A share is 60, so type A is represented by x. Okay, and then type B, y represents type B. So type A, what are they saying? The profit, given that the profit on type A share, type A is what? 60. So you attach that amount to type A, which is x. So it's going to be 60 x plus, how about type B? Type B is right there and the amount is 30. So it's going to be 30 y. That's your formula for finding maximum profit. So now let us test those coordinates. Which ones are going to give us the biggest amount? So it is 60 plus 60x plus 3 plus 30y. That's our formula. So 60x plus 30y. So now let us investigate our coordinates. Do I still know I don't need the ruler? Okay, I can actually just, okay, let me just push it up. I'll need it for the next question. Okay, so let us investigate our coordinates. We have 20 comma 50, 60 comma 10, and 20 comma 10. So which one should we test? Okay, reasonably enough we can't test these because they are too small compared to the other two. So I'm just going to test these two, the 20 comma 50 and 60 comma 10. So we're going to say 60, while there is x, I'll put a 20. We're testing those ones. So 20 plus 30, while there is y, I put a 50. Then I punch on my calculator. What do I get? So 60 times 20 plus 30 times 50, that gives me 27,000. So this is giving me 27,000. So as you're doing this, make sure you are doing it somewhere on a rough part of your exam paper, not right on the graph, because what you just need to indicate here is a final answer for maximum profit. So for testing, find somewhere where you're going to do it from. Okay, so that's what those coordinates are giving us. How about the other coordinates? So the formula is 60 x plus 30 y. The other coordinates for testing are 60 comma 10. This one's right here. So where there is a x, I'll put a 60 times, not really times, plus 30 times 10. Since it's 60 comma 10, what does that give us? So 60 times 60 plus 30 times 10. 60 times 60 plus 30 times 10. That is giving me 3,900. Okay, Therefore, in order to say it is these coordinates that we are supposed to use. So therefore, the question says, how many chairs of each type should be made to maximize how many chairs of each type should be made for maximum profit? So on your answer space, you're going to say your coordinates, remember, are 60, 10. So you're going to say 60 type A and 10 type B chairs. That will be your final answer. Then obviously they are now asking you to find the maximum profit down there. Okay, let's just check. Calculate maximum profit. So we're simply going to give them this solution. The formula we used was, so this should be D, quotient D, and this should be C. We said 60 x plus 30 y. So the coordinates we're using are 60, 10. So we're going to say 60 times 60 plus 30 times 10. And that gave us 3,900. So we can therefore say, maximum profit MP is equal to 3,900. And we are done. Do we have any questions at this point? Are there any questions? Okay. All right, since there are no questions, we proceed to our last question, which is coming from 2022 paper 2, was written by the grade 12s. Okay. Answer the whole of this question on a sheet of graph paper. A businessman intends to sell two types of markers, permanent and dry erase. He decides that there should be at least 20 permanent markers and at least 10 dry erase markers. In order to make this business stable, he decides to order not more than 70 markers altogether. The order price of a permanent marker is 15 kwacha and that of a dry erase marker is 20 kwacha. He is prepared to spend not more than 1,200 altogether. Let X represent the number of permanent markers and Y the number of dry erase markers. Write four inequalities which satisfy the above conditions. So they are saying X should represent what? Permanent markers. So X is equal to permanent, and Y is equal to Y dry erase. So dry erase. Okay, then we now go back to our question and we come up with our inequalities. A businessman intends to sell two types of markers, permanent and dry erase. He decides that there should be at least 20 permanent. So our first inequality is going to be permanent is represented by X. So it's going to be X. There is the word at least right here. So we're going to say greater than or equal to, what's a value? 20. Okay, we are done there. We proceed. And at least 10 dry erase. Dry erase is represented by Y. So we're going to say Y, there is the word at least there. So we're going to say greater than or equal to 10. Okay, in order to make his business stable, he decides to order not more than 70 markers altogether. We said altogether is a magic word. Once you just see it, you know it's X plus Y. So X plus Y, what is a symbol? Not more than. So symbol less than or equal to, the value there is 70 markers altogether. We are done. Okay, we go to number 4. So number 4, this is the one that is slightly new because it involves money. Then order price for a permanent. So permanent marker is equal to 15. Okay, and that of a dry erase is 20. He is prepared to spend not more than 120 altogether. We said whenever you see all together, it's x plus y, except in this case we're supposed to include the monies attached to each marker. So permanent is costing 15, so you're going to say permanent is represented by what? X. So you're going to say 15x. You're simply getting that money, you attach the value representing that marker. Okay, we proceed. So there's this word altogether at the end, so it's plus here. Okay, dry erase is represented by y. What is the money attached to dry erase? Is 20, so I'm going to say 20y. Okay, and then there's this not more than. What does it tell you? Less than or equal to, then the amount that is there to be spent, which is 1,200. Okay, now you notice to say you can actually reduce these values. So we are going to divide throughout by 5. So 5 into 15 there, 5 into 20. So you need to use a coefficient of all the three, a common factor, not a coefficient, a common factor of all these three values, so that you can reduce these values. Okay, so meaning we're going to say 5 there 1, 5 there is going to be 3, so you're going to have 3x there plus, okay, 5 there 1, 5 into 20 is 4, so you're going to have 4y less than or equal to, 5 there is 1, 5 into 12 is 2, 5 into 12 is 2, remember a 2, you're going to have a 20 there, so 5 into 20 is 4, so meaning you're going to have 240. This is your inequality. So the same way you do it for maximum profit, except you have to plug in the symbol and the total amount to be spent. Okay, that is how you deal with these types of inequalities that involve money, and you are done. We now proceed to the question that requires us to now draw. So this one is saying, using a scale of 2 centimeters to represent 10 markers on each axis, draw x and y for the range. X is from 0 to 80, and y is also from 0 to 80. So since they are both starting from 0, we can put our 0 right there. So this 2 centimeters represent 10 markers, so meaning this is 10 markers, 20 markers, okay, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. The range is from 0 to 80 on the x. We go to the y. The y is also 0 to 80, also 2 centimeters to represent 10 markers. So we're going to have 10 there, 20, 30, 40, 50, 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, we now draw our lines, our x and y axis lines. So we draw our x axis right there. So that's your x axis. And you're going to say x there. Then we can draw our y axis line. Let me just turn this ruler. Put it at 90. We put it right there. So we're going to have our y axis right there. All the way up to somewhere there. That is your y. Okay, we can now write to say x is representing what? X is representing permanent markers. So under the x-axis values, you're going to say number of permanent markers down here, number of permanent markers, and then on the y-axis as well, you're going to write to say number of dry erase markers, number of dry erase markers, and we are done. We can now start plugging in those inequalities. So the first one is x is greater than or equal to 20. That one up there. X is greater than or equal to 20. Okay, let's start with this one, since the ruler is already almost positioned to that one. Y is greater than or equal to 10. So where is y is equal to 10, so that I don't have to turn back the ruler like this. Okay, I can draw a line there. Y is equal to 10 is right there. So that is our inequality. It is y greater than or equal to. So this is the part we should stay away from and be all over the other one. So here we can shade like that. Then we can call this one y greater than or equal to 10. We now go to x and turn it like this. Okay, should be 90. Okay, what is the inequality? X is greater than or equal to 20. X is greater than or equal to 20 right there. So I'll go to where x is equal to 20 right here. Okay, then I draw a line passing through that point. Okay, go up, take it up to somewhere here. Okay, so what is the symbol saying? Saying greater than. Okay, greater than or equal to 20. So meaning this side is on heading toward the greater part, so we shade the opposite. Okay, we shade that side. Okay, we also name it x is greater than or equal to 20. We now go to this other inequality. So this one, there's no shortcut, huh? We just need to come up with our table of values. So let's put our table of values right there. Okay, that's a badly drawn table. Okay, can have x there. Ish. X there. Okay, we can find 3 coordinates, 3 pairs of coordinates. So of x there, of y there. Okay, so now we need to start testing. Let us just use x. We can use x or whatever coordinate we prefer. So you got your x-axis. Check what is the range. The range for the x-axis is 0 to 80. So you can test any of these values between 0 and 80, including the 0 and 80 as well. So if x is 0, always start with 0. It's the simplest. If x is 0, what is going to be our y? You get your formula 3x plus 4y. We replace that symbol with equals 240. Okay, if x is 0, so where there's x, I'll put a 0, plus 4y is equal to 240. What's going to be y? So meaning this will just give us a 0, so it's going to be 4y is equal to 240. Then we divide both sides by 4. The 4's will cancel there, meaning y will be equal to 4 into 24 should go there 6 times, so it's 60. So when x is 0, y is 60. You are done. Okay, what if x is 10? Let's test. Okay, let's try 20. Okay, I prefer using slightly smaller values, so preferably use values that are somewhat to, if you have a couple of coefficients for this inequality, you can see there's 3 here, there's 4 there. So I usually recommend using values that are from half of the range for the axis. So instead of you end somewhere here, you end at 40. You don't use these values because sometimes they'll give you a number that is out of range. your axis goes up to 80, but you end up finding values like 100 as a coordinate. Where are you going to plug it in? Because your range is up to 80. So I can use any values less than half of 80, which is 40. So let me try 20 there. If x is 20, it's going to be 3, 20 there, plus 4y is equal to 240. So 3 times 20 is 60, okay, plus 4y is equal to 240. And then there we'll divide both sides by 60, like that. There they will cancel, so meaning remain with 4y is equal to, can cancel the zeros, 24 divided by 6 is 4. Divide both sides by 4, cancel there, meaning y will be equal to 1. Now here lies the tragedy. So where is y is equal to 1? So this is 0 and this is 10, and there are 10 boxes in between, so meaning one box is equal to 1. If you count, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so meaning y is equal to 0, y is equal to 1 is this small line here. So what is the coordinate? 20, 1. So where is 20, 1? 20, 1 is going to be right on this line here, where these two, the inequality and x, are meeting. Okay, I'll put a slightly bigger dot for you to see, like that. That is where 20, 1 is. So sometimes if you see that the coordinate I've gotten is not making so much sense, like it is a bit hard for me to plug it in, you are free to change it. Okay, so we found 1 for y. Let us try to use what if you want to, actually you can even try for y. What if y is the one which is 0? Okay, let us test. If y is the one which is 0, what are we going to get? Okay, I usually test for x, but I need to show you that you can also test for y. Okay, so I'm going to say 3x plus 4, 0, because we're testing that y is equal to 0. So meaning we're going to say 3x is equal to 240, because 4 times 0 is 0. Divide both sides by 3, divide both sides by 3, cancel there. X will be equal to 3 into 24 goes there 8 times, so 80, meaning x is equal to 8. So that's quite a good range, so we can use those coordinates. So you can test using x or y coordinates. Just use the coordinates that you are seeing on your axis, whether for x-axis or y-axis. So let us plot 0,60. Where is 0,60? 0,60 is at this point here. Okay, then 0,80 or 80,0 now. 80,0 is just right here. Okay, so the coordinates were found. 20,1 is somewhere else. So let us rework this one where we tested for 20. It seems we may have missed it somewhere. Okay, 3x plus 4y is equal to 240. We're testing that x is equal to 20. Let's see, let's redo this one. I think we missed it somewhere. 240. So 3 times 20 is 60. Okay, oh yes, I see what we did wrong. 3 times 2 is 60 plus 4y is equal to 240. So this 60 was supposed to cross to the other side of the equal sign to subtract from 240. Okay, like that. It's a positive. When it crosses, it becomes a negative. So 240, that should be 18. 240 minus 60 is 180. Yeah, so that's where I messed up. So that will be 4y is equal to 240. Oh, not for 240, 180. Then you're going to divide both sides by 4. So the 4s can cancel there, but this will likely give us a decimal again, because 4 cannot go into 180. So usually when you find that the answer is going to be a decimal, it's better you change the coordinate. So instead of testing that it is 20, we can switch it to, let's say, 30. We see what we'll get, because don't give yourself pressure of plotting a decimal when you can actually get a whole number. So let us try 30 instead. So remember, these values are randomly picked, so some of them will give you tougher values, or values that are a bit hard to plot. So we're now testing that x is 30, so plus 4y is equal to 240. Okay, 3 times 30 is 90, plus 4y is equal to 240. So the 4y remains on the left, the 90 crosses, we subtract. So 4, so what is 290? 240 minus 90, that gives me 150. So in other words, since we know we have to divide by a 4 there, we're looking for a number that should be exactly divisible by 4. When you subtract those values, you're getting 150, and 4 can't go into 150 again, so we can change that value again. Let us test for something else. Okay, so we've tested for, did we test for 10? No, we didn't test for 10. Okay, how about if we test for 10? Okay, the last one we can test for is 40. Okay, plus 4y is equal to 240. So it will be 30 plus 4y is equal to 240. 30 crosses the equal sign. It's going to be 240 minus 30. That will give us 210. Again, 4 can't go into 210, so let's test for another value. The last one we can test for is 40 now. So if x is 40, what do you get? That will give us 120 plus 4y is equal to 240. When it crosses the other side, it will be 120, 240 rather, 240 minus 120. 4y will give us, what is 240 minus 120? That gives me 120, and I know 4 can go into 120. Divide both sides by 4. By 4, the 4's will cancel, meaning your y will be equal to 30. So at this point, you've confirmed to say I've gotten a whole number. So sometimes some values we may pick may give you values that may convert to a fraction or a decimal. Those ones you change them. Okay, don't give yourself pressure of trying to check where is this decimal going to be. Okay, so that is that. So now we can plot that one, the 40,30 is right there. Now, moment of truth. Let us confirm whether what we have done is correct. Just try to place our ruler here. Okay, you can see those okay, I think I'll need to zoom out a little so that I can be able to see all 3 points. Yeah, so you can see they are aligning, except here I can't fine-tune the position of the ruler. So yeah, otherwise you can see that those points will align. Yeah, I can't fine-tune the position of the ruler diagonally, so we shall go with that one. Okay, then what is the inequality saying? We check. So I think we don't need the ruler anymore. We can even get rid of it since this is our last question. Okay, the inequality is saying 3x plus 4y is less than or equal to 240. Okay, let me just write it here. 3x plus 4y less than or equal to 240. So less than, meaning this is the part they want. So I'm going to shade this side. Okay, can erase these guys here. So clearly you can see your error region will be right there. Then remember to name your inequality 3x plus 4y less than or equal to 240. Next up, we focus on the corners. What is the coordinate there? What are the coordinates there rather? So you can see this line here is an inequality passing at 20 down here. So that's the x coordinate, and the y coordinate is right here at the center. Okay, between 40 and 50, so that's 45. So that is 45, oh sorry, 20 comma 45. That's the y coordinate, 20 comma 45. You come down here, this corner here, same line. Okay, x is 20 there, y is 10, so it's going to be 20 comma 10. How about right there? Okay, so this one is for this one, let me just try to zoom in for you. Yeah, so we are trying to find the coordinates at that point. So we know to say this line here is a center of 70 and 60, right? So this is how easily we can figure out some coordinates. Just first of all, figure out what's the center here. 65, 70. Okay, so that's 65, and it is 1 unit per small box, so meaning this is 66 at that point. So the coordinates will be 66 comma the x coordinate there, the y coordinate is 10 there. So those are coordinates. If we investigate our coordinates, there's no need for us to try this one. We just test this one up here and this one. We see what we find. So let us come up with a formula for maximum profit. Okay, so having solved a lot of these questions, you've actually noticed to say we can actually figure out the pattern. We've not gone down here to check the question, but we already know what's coming. The profit on the sale of a permanent is 25. So permanent is x. So we're going to say 25x plus dry erase is what? 30 kwacha. So we're going to say 30y. That's your formula. 25x plus 30y. Then you start testing the coordinates. So 25x plus 30y. Let me confirm that I've copied the correct values. Yeah. So now we start testing. Let's start with these coordinates, 20 comma 45 right there. So 25 times 20 plus 30 times 45. What do you get? Punch on a calculator. 25 times 20 plus 30 times 45. 30 plus 45 gives me 1,850. Okay, we test for the other ones. 25 x, not like that, x plus 30y. So 25, what is x? These ones here, 66. Okay, plus y is 10. What do you get there? So I'm going to say 25 times 66 plus 30 times 10. 5 times 66, this gives me 1,950. Okay, 1,950. So meaning the coordinates 66 comma 10 are the ones that are going to give us maximum profit. So the question is asking us to say how many markers of each type should be ordered to make maximum profit. So we know to say it's supposed to be 66 permanent, 10 dry erase. Okay, so let's see, let's move it to the left. Okay, so that is question C will be 66 permanent and 10 dry erase. Erase markers. This will be your answer right there. Okay, next one, calculate maximum profit. Find the maximum profit. So I'm just going to pick this formula and you write it down for the examiner. So the formula is 25x plus 30y. So I'm going to say, you can plug it somewhere here. You can say mp is equal to 25 x plus 30y. So mp 25 66 plus 30 10. Okay, maximum profit be equal to, that was 1950, right? 1950 kwacha, and you are done. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of linear programming paper 2. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Have we understood? Hello, have we understood the topic? I need some feedback. People are not responding. No, it is not wrong, Anita, to find the decimals when plotting. The only thing is that you're going to need to be careful to plot the exact coordinate. Okay, so for example, imagine you find 11.5. Let me try to zoom in and explain. So let's say, okay, I think we're close enough. We know to say from here to there, there's a difference of 10, right? And there are 10 boxes between these 2 points. So meaning this is 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and that's how we are landing at 30. So imagine the coordinate you have found is 27.5. So you're going to come here to say this is 25, this is 26, 27, this is 28. So meaning the coordinate will be right between these two. Okay, so in terms of accuracy, decimals are not recommended because you may find it difficult. But imagine if you find 30, you know to say this is the line for 30. It's right there. But if it's 27, you're going to go, this is 27, 27.5, then you put it there. Okay, so that will also depend on how accurate you are. And the examiner might mark that as a factor also. So to be safe, just change the number. If the number has given you a decimal, go to your axis, pick another number. Remember, all those numbers we are picking to test were coming from the, if we are testing for x, you are picking those numbers from the x-axis. So just go back to the x-axis and pick another number. Okay, we tested using a 0, we used a 10, we used 20, 30, and 40. These are the values we used. Okay, I said to say when you have your formula has coefficients greater than 1, we had the 3 and the 4 as a coefficient. It's not recommended to use these numbers because then might give you an answer like a coordinate that is beyond your range. Your range only goes up to 80. Okay, so it's better you use values that are before or equal to half. So that's how come we just focused on these values on the left side, starting with 40, between 40 and 0. So if 10 fails, switch to 20. If 20 fails, switch to 40, 30. If 30 fails, switch to 40. If all the x coordinates are giving you wrong values, switch to the y-axis. And then start picking coordinates from the y-axis. Okay, starting with 0 also. You go to your y-axis, you try 0. What if y is 0? What will be the x coordinate? Okay, if it doesn't give you a value that's making sense, switch to 10, switch to 20, switch to 30. Eventually, one of these coordinates will work. Remember, we are testing. Okay, when you're testing, sometimes you find correct values or you may find wrong values. So test and pick the best coordinates. So if possible, even before you write in your box, because you may be erasing a lot, okay, just write, maybe just take note to say, okay, I'm testing for 10. When 10 works out, that's when you plug it into your table of values. Yeah, so otherwise, that is that. Do we have any other questions? Okay, great. It's good to note that you've understood. Are there any other questions? Are we good to close? Okay, great. So ladies and gentlemen, we are going to end here. I'll send the assignment in the group. On Sunday we'll be revising mathematics paper 1. On Tuesday we'll be revising mathematics paper 2 section A, and on Thursday we're going to finalize with mathematics paper 2 section B. Otherwise, the promotion for the crash course still continues. Yesterday we were looking at these topics on your right. We looked at, this is 3 or 4. This is what we looked at yesterday. So we looked at functions, variations, and quadratic function graphs. On Monday we looked at algebra, indices, and arithmetic progression. And on Saturday evening at 20 hours we're going to be looking at calculus, coordinate geometry, area of a sector. And then finally on Sunday we're going to look at matrices, eighth geometry, inequalities, and speed time graph. So this initiative is meant to help those that especially feel they have not done much, okay, due to their busy schedules. Maybe it could be work or school or whatever may have kept you busy. So that is how come we're doing these crash courses, to help you catch up. And for those that just want to perfect, okay, all you want is a distinction 1, nothing else. This is also very helpful for such a one. So please, the early bird registration for Saturday's session is only 30 kwacha for the first 10 people. Okay, after the first 10 people, it is now going to be a standard amount, which is 40 kwacha. So if you're interested, please make sure that you sign up as soon as possible. Otherwise, that is that. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your evening.